use small cap stocks and large cap. International is a different component. But cap is just a shortened word. It means capitalization. And so they're either a large capitalized company or a small capitalized company. What that means is the capitalization of a company is the outstanding shares. So how many shares of that company are outstanding to the public to buy, trade, sell, and then what their stock price is. On any given day, that market capitalization is going to change because the stock price changes. The outstanding shares tend to stay the same unless they might do something to change that. But the stock price is going to fluctuate. So the market capitalization is going to go up and down. And so a stock could graduate from a small capitalized company up to a large capitalized company over time. And so a small capitalized company tends to be a market capitalization, so outstanding shares times stock price of $2 billion or less. Now, if you go online, some of these parameters are a little different depending on where you look, but roughly around $2 billion in market capitalization or less is a small company. So does anybody know of maybe a company that might be considered a small company, and in this case, a small cap stock?
Sears.
Sears? They're probably small cap now. They weren't at one time. Yep. So typically stocks, like there's one that you guys are probably familiar with, Ancestry.com. You see the commercials all the time. So that's actually a publicly traded company. It's a small cap stock. Shake Shack. You guys have heard of Shake Shack before? They're a publicly traded company, small cap. And then you guys are probably familiar with the armored trucks out there, Brinks, the armored trucks that you see out there. So that's another type of small capitalized company. And so there's mid-sized companies as well. So mid is probably around 2 billion to 10 billion in market capitalization. Okay, it's not listed up here. We tend to, kind of lump small and mid-cap together oftentimes in conversation. But mid-cap is that 2 to 10 billion space. And then 10 billion plus is large cap stocks. Now there's an extra capitalization feature in there called mega caps. And that's come about over the years because companies continue to grow. And mega caps are about $200 billion or more in market capitalization. Anyone want to throw out a mega cap name? Apple. Apple is the #1 mega cap. They are the largest capitalized company in the world. I think their market cap runs at about 900 billion. NVIDIA. Yep. Google. Yeah, those are all very large capitalized organizations. And so another thing that we look at when we look at stocks are international companies. And so international companies are purchased here in the United States through American depository receipts. So we don't actually go over to to Hong Kong or to Japan or to Singapore or to South Korea and exchange on their markets. We actually use a representation of those securities that are domiciled outside of the United States through what's called American depository receipts. And so a company that you guys might be familiar with, does anybody know Unilever? That's a very big company. Dove soap, right? Lipton tea. They do a lot of Axe. We also know the body spray or whatever else they sell. These are all things that we use on a regular basis that oftentimes we think are U.S. companies. But they're actually owned by Unilever, which is a company domiciled in England. Okay? How about Nestle? Swiss company, right? We use their products all the time. And so when we're looking at building a stock portfolio or investing in stocks, we want to have it spread out a little bit in each of these different categories. And we'll talk about diversification in a moment and why it's important. But that's what we look at when we look at stock investments. We want to have some, maybe a little bit in Apple, maybe a little bit in Unilever, maybe a little bit in a Shake Shack or a Brinks, a smaller company. And there's different ways to do this, and we'll get into mutual funds and ETFs, that allow you to get exposure to the areas with a lot less money.